A multi-million-dollar settlement for victims of sexual and physical abuse, decades after teachers abuse students. More money for police.
It can't just be a cash cow that's deployed in areas unfairly.
City councilors look at a proposal with a boost in funding.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
And Stephen Paige on celebrating all the holidays in December.
We did get stockings on Christmas, so we got a little bit of, because there was a lot of FOMO going on in our house.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. A settlement has been reached between the Calgary Board of Education and the sexual and physical assault victims of two teachers at John Ware School. Jacqueline Wilson is on this story for us. So, Jackie, what are the details in the class action lawsuit?
And so the settlement, which is subject to court approval, means that the Calgary Board of Education and its insurers will pay the victims of physical, psychological, and sexual abuse over $15.7 million. And the lawyers for the class action lawsuit, they tell us that there are 40 people part of that lawsuit. Now, the two former teachers, Michael Gregory and Fred Archer, worked at John Ware Junior High School between 1988 and 2004. Gregory died by suicide 5 days after criminal charges were laid against him in 2021. Archer was convicted of abusing boys at a school he worked at previously, but this settlement isn't related to that case. Now, last January, the 80-year-old High River resident was charged with 2 counts each of sexual assault, sexual interference, and invitation to sexual touching with a child under 16.
For some people, the impacts were incredibly intense for a period of time, and then with counseling and the passage of time, they were able to get on with their lives to an extent, and even thrive in some cases. For other people, unfortunately, the abuse has and continues to take an enormous toll emotionally.
Now, the CBE did decline an interview with CTV, but in a statement, they do say that they are sorry for the harm experienced by the class members and the impact of that harm on them. And it's also important to note there is no time or limit to report a sexual assault, so anyone who thinks that they may be a victim is asked to either contact police or Crime Stoppers. Ian?
Jackie, thanks very much. Police continue to search for the driver responsible for a hit and run last night. It happened around 6:50 at Center Street and 8th Avenue North. Police say a woman was in a marked crosswalk when she was hit by a white car. The woman was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Calgary's Police Commission is now reviewing next year's traffic safety plan with a sharp focus on reducing what's been the deadliest year on city roads in a decade. So far this year, 32 people have been killed, including 12 pedestrians. Police say speed and distraction remain the leading factors. The updated plan outlines more targeted enforcement, more officers on Calgary streets, and closer work with the city on road design, signage, and trouble intersections.
There has to be consequences for bad driving behavior, and unfortunately, some of our pedestrians own some of that behavior as well. We have to be looking both ways. You have to be cognizant of what's going on around you. Our drivers have to ensure that they're maintaining the speeds, that they are being good drivers. Everybody has a responsibility for traffic safety.
The Commission says an emphasis on education will also continue, along with an increased check stop presence and new technology to crack down on distracted drivers. Meantime, Calgary police are in line for tens of millions of dollars more in funding next year. Jordan Canagan is at City Hall, where the budget discussions are underway. And Jordan, Council will still have to approve this money this week.
Ian, it will. And after hearing from more than 130 Calgarians to start this budget week, it was time for different city departments to make their pitch for more funding next year. And if the budget passes as it is presented right now, the Calgary Police Service would see its operating budget increase to $613 million. That would be a net adjustment of $59 million compared to this year. Some of that money will go towards fleet maintenance, roof repairs at a couple of police stations, and money for a new indoor gun range. An increase of 21 new officers has also already been approved. But a big portion of that added money will be to cover a $28 million funding shortfall caused by the province removing most photo radar locations. The mayor, though, says the city will ask the province to recuperate that lost funding.
It has to be fine revenue that's specifically earmarked for improving traffic safety outcomes through capital improvements, through better education, through engineering and enforcement. It can't just be a cash cow that's deployed in areas unfairly.
Now, in a statement, Alberta's transportation minister isn't ruling out that ask. Devin Dreeshen says that he's open to having conversations with the mayor about giving some of that money back and getting some of that money back to the city. But he reiterated that it can't just be about replacing fine revenue. It has to be money that is used to improve safety outcomes. Now, the budget discussion will continue. They are behind so far this week. And we will likely see those decisions either later on this week or it could roll into next week. Ian?
Jordan, thanks very much. And turning to provincial politics, buried inside Tuesday's omnibus legislation, Bill 12, were key changes to the program that supports the severely disabled. The Alberta Income for the Severely Handicapped program, or AISH, provides assistance for about 79,000 people. The new legislation would see all of them move to a new program called the Alberta Disability Assistance Program, or ADAP. It will have lower benefits and is designed for people with a disability that impedes their employment. Those who can't work will need to reapply for AISH. Disability advocates accuse the province of trying to cut its budget by targeting marginalized communities.
But this entire wholesale move to what is essentially a workfare program is going to negatively impact Albertans and, cause a rise in houselessness and other very, very serious impacts.
If passed, people on AISH will be moved to the new program next year. Their benefits will remain at current levels for up to 2 years. The Canadian energy sector's tough go is expected to continue into 2026, even if an agreement with Ottawa can be reached to build a new pipeline to the West Coast. That's all according to Inserva's State of the Industry report released today. It illustrates an oil sector that was forced to navigate some unpredictability this year, driven largely by a new government in Canada and a new relationship with the U.S. Oil prices declined substantially in 2025 compared to last year, and that led to lowered capital spending and drilling activity.
The Memorandum of Understanding, it is about much more than one thing. And fundamentally, it's about building this economy. It's about making Canada more independent, and it's about making Canada more sustainable.
Inserva says it's cautiously optimistic that MOU will help bring investment to the sector, but it expects that won't do much to slow a rocky start to 2026. Okay, Danielle joins us now, and we are expecting more snow.
Another round. Now, for Calgary specifically, this round won't be as significant as the last one, but it will be enough that you may have to shovel out there if you're not in a condo or a townhouse where somebody else shovels for you. Okay, -4 is the base temperature with the wind chill. It feels more like -6. Again, wind chill, we're dealing with this for the next few days, really until next week. Okay, when we look at these next 24 hours, your 24-hour forecast is brought to you by Fifth Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit fifthavvw.com. Let me give you an idea of the timeline here, but before we even get to the snowfall, tomorrow morning it will be a cold start. -19 is what it will feel like with the wind chill when off to work and school. The clouds will increase throughout the day, and closer to about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. is when we get into the chance of more consistent snowfall. We may see some flurries ahead of that, but it will really pick up by tomorrow night. We'll talk more about this just ahead. Ian?
Thanks, Danielle. A new report is drilling down on Canadians who died while waiting for medical treatment. Next, why the stats don't even include Alberta. And financial support for military and first responders dealing with PTSD. A new report is raising alarm over growing waitlist deaths in Canada and concerns that here in Alberta, the data isn't even tracked. The report by secondstreet.org shows waitlist deaths rose 3% across Canada year over year. In that time, more than 23,000 patients died while waiting for surgeries or diagnostic procedures. The findings are based on Freedom of Information requests. Some health groups only provided partial data, and Alberta did not provide any data, so the true total is likely higher. Alberta Health said it stopped tracking waitlist deaths in 2021.
Governments need to be a lot more accountable right across the country when it comes to this issue, tracking the data, analyzing it, disclosing it. Too often we hear about patients dying on waiting lists, not because governments come forward and let the public know, but because the patients, their families, speak out.
Some people died while waiting for potentially life-saving care, including heart surgeries and cancer treatment. But most deaths were patients waiting for things such as hip and knee surgeries. But the report's author says the delays could leave them at greater risk of falls or heart attacks. A $1 million donation today to help military and first responders struggling with PTSD. The money from Alberta's Poppy Fund will support the Heroes in Mind Advocacy and Research Consortium. The group is based out of the University of Alberta, and it's currently conducting research on 3-MDR, a psychotherapy treatment used for PTSD. It has been tested successfully with military members and veterans who did not respond to other frontline interventions. Okay, Danielle, you talked earlier about wind chill.
Yeah.
So we're getting serious, hey?
Here's my question. Are you used to winter yet? Does your body feel like it's getting accustomed?
I think I'm halfway there.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So by the time you get there, we'll warm up again.
Okay.
Later next
Fine with
week.
that.
Okay, good. All right. So we do have some shoveling that we're going to have to do for especially Friday. Digging out a little bit in Calgary, certainly for areas south of Calgary where more snow is expected. And really it's quiet tonight, and it will start to roll in this next system tomorrow to some communities. I'll give you the timeline in just a second, but here's that wind chill that Ian was talking about. Now, in some places, the wind is calm, so we're not dealing with wind chill. Or we're just at the freezing mark and not below freezing yet, not dealing with wind chill. But in Claresholm, for example, the base temperature is -3. It feels closer to -5. Lethbridge feels closer to -6. And in Calgary, we feel closer to -8 at the moment. No wind chill in Medicine Hat. At the moment, anyway. All right, before we get into the snowfall forecast, just to quickly touch on the fact that we're looking at fog patches possible in all communities in southern Alberta tonight and early tomorrow morning, especially east of Brooks. This is where it should be more dense, and visibility will greatly be reduced tonight and tomorrow morning because of that. Now let's talk about the snow and this next system on the way. We just have the clouds right now. The winds will start to pick up a little tomorrow. It will be a little windy at times, so not just snow, but blowing snow is the possibility. There's a peak at the system. I'm going to give you the hour by hour here so you have the timeline, most likely timeline. So by the time we get into the noon hour, just after the noon hour, that's when it should start to roll into Pincher Creek, Crow's Nest Pass area, and then it'll start to move into the Lethbridge area closer to 4 p.m. This will mainly impact the far south, but it will creep up into Calgary. We're just not looking at the snowfall totals that they're going to get to the far south. Then you can see it starts to move up Highway 2. Time of arrival for Calgary is closer to 7 p.m., and then it will shift off to the east to the Medicine Hat area, especially overnight into Friday morning. For Calgary, this should be out around the noon hour on Friday, and then it'll take its time to weed its way out of the southeast corner on Friday. All right, when we look at amounts, of course, further to the south where the system's coming from, that's where we're looking at the higher amounts, certainly possible. 20 centimeters for Pincher Creek, Lethbridge, 24 possible for Milk River. Tabor's looking at 15 centimeters. So that's where the snow will be more concentrated and more consistent. For Calgary, we're looking at anywhere from 5 to 7 centimeters. And you can really look at that from Okotoks up to Airdrie, a little less off to the west for once. So Cochrane and Banff, you're looking at less snowfall, just a couple centimeters from this. -6 will be our daytime high tomorrow, 5 centimeters. That will start again later in the day, in the early evening hours likely, and carry into Friday, where we're looking at another 1 to 2 centimeters possible Friday morning. By then, just a high of -10, but we will get above the freezing mark by Monday.
Thanks, Danielle. The Christmas holidays mean many things to many people. Still to come, singer-songwriter Stephen Paige on his new Christmas song. And celebrating Yuletide as a Jewish kid. Markets in the U.S. had one more day of trading before they close for a U.S. Thanksgiving tomorrow. Joining me is Dave Popowich, portfolio manager with the Popowich Karmali Advisory Group. And Dave, the markets rose just before the American holiday.
Yeah, that's right. Good afternoon, Ian. You know, I was pleasantly surprised, I think, to see the markets finish the way they did. This morning, I had expressed some concerns that as we move into Thanksgiving tomorrow and U.S. markets being closed, many traders will make that an extended long weekend. U.S. markets are open for an abbreviated session on Friday. But my concern was that we might see some profit taking ahead of this, so some selling pressure this afternoon, and that didn't materialize. And that gives me some hope and some optimism that the recovery on the sell-off that we saw last week has some legs here. Now, keep in mind, we do have an abbreviated trading day on Friday, so you know, I might be proven wrong on Friday, but the fact that Dell came out with some pretty positive numbers and a very strong forecast for the fourth quarter certainly helped things along today.
Meantime, here in Canada, Ottawa announces support for the Canadian steel and softwood lumber industry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this was just sort of late breaking news, late afternoon after markets were closing or just before they closed. And, you know, providing some support to the steel industry in Canada just very quickly. So countries that we do not have an agreement with, a trading agreement with, those are going to be affected by the ban on foreign steel. This is largely going to be targeted, quite frankly, to China. The countries that we do have trading agreements with, they'll be limited, foreign steel imports be limited to 75% of the 2024 levels. There's going to be a Buy Canada policy put in place for both steel and aluminum. Nothing specific announced on aluminum, but the softwood lumber government loan program has been increased by $500 million to $1.2 billion. So some support in some of those key areas and sectors for Canada.
All right, Dave, thanks for the update.
Bye, Ian.
Calgary police lay out their priorities for the city budget. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Ian, the biggest ask is around staffing, so more officers can patrol the streets. Coming up at 6, where the city could find the money needed to hire more officers, and the police chief makes the case for it being tax dollars well spent. Also ahead, an Ontario man accused of drugging and videotaping his intimate partners is now facing charges in Calgary. Join us at 6 for those details. Ian.
Thanks, Tara. Stephen Paige will have more than just himself as a backing musician when he performs his holiday special with the Calgary Philharmonic. The orchestra joins him in concert at the Jubilee Auditorium on Saturday, December 6th. And joining us is Stephen Paige. It's wonderful to see you.
Nice to be here.
So, growing up as a Jewish kid in Toronto, what holiday memories do you have?
Well, we got a little bit of both. So I grew up with Hanukkah, which is not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, for those who celebrate, you know, we would watch our friends who had Christmas trees celebrate with great, you know, sets of Lego and Hot Wheels and whatever else, and I might get sock on night 1 and the matching sock on night 2.
Yeah.
We did get stockings on Christmas, so we got a little bit of, because there was a lot of FOMO going on in our house.
Now, I understand you have a new Christmas song as well, and it's featured in Murdoch Mysteries, in which you act as well. Tell us, first of all, about the song.
Well, so I was approached by Murdoch Mysteries to come and do a cameo on their Christmas special this year, and they asked me if I would write a song for this special. So they asked me to write a song called Christmas in Toronto, and my first thought was, they're going to love that in Alberta. So I wrote a song that is as critical of Toronto as you could possibly be, I think, where from my perspective of the fact that perhaps I would want to be anywhere except for Toronto on Christmas, but this is where I'm going to be, so I'm going to make the most of it.
And to see my extended interview with Stephen Paige, visit ctvnews.ca/Calgary. Hot on the heels of the latest Wicked movie release, Alberta Theatre Projects is hosting its stage adaptation of The Wizard of Oz. ATP says the production closely follows the original story, and it's actually the biggest holiday production in the company's history. You'll see the main characters of Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion. But the show's director is also including some of her favorite songs that were cut from the 1939 movie. ATP says it's suitable for the whole family and runs now until January 4th at the Martha Cohen Theatre. Looking at our weather, we have more snow on the way. We have wind chill. There's a lot going on as we approach the end of the week. Right now, it's -4. Danielle has details coming up. You did give us a glimmer of hope in that it's warming up by early next week, right?
Yeah. I mean, you'll notice a difference by Sunday, but it'll still be below freezing on Sunday. When we get into next week, we'll get above freezing, and there will be some melting going on. So you can't wear your best shoes then.
Ooh.
Because, you know, all the slushy, messy stuff. I mean, we're dealing with that now anyway. -4 is the current temperature. Today's high was -2. Normal is 0. We're nowhere near that record of 18.3 for this day. All right, snowfall starts late in the day, likely closer to the supper hours in the city, if not the early evening hours, and carries through the overnight hours, anywhere from 5 to 7 centimeters possible.
Thanks, Danielle. It's a nearly 2-decade-old holiday tradition for Calgary Police and the city's youth. 27 students from local schools had the chance to bond and holiday shop with police officers this morning. Each student received a $200 gift card to spend at Marlborough Mall. The Shop with a Cop program aims to build a positive relationship between Calgary Police and local youth.
We want to recognize them as community leaders as well, because within their own communities as students, whether it's academically, whether it's socially, whether it's any kind of perseverance they've shown within their own life, we want to recognize that.
And this is the 19th year for the events. Thank you for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.